I own an iPhone 16 Pro Max. And this is the iPhone 16e. Drop a like down below, subscribe to the channel, let's get started. Unboxing an iPhone is always an experience. And the iPhone 16e is no different. This iPhone unboxing experience is awesome. It's always Apple-like. And whenever you turn it on, you will see that Apple logo. The aluminum feels great, the phone feels light, the matte glass on the back looks awesome, and the single camera, it actually looks simple and minimalistic. This iPhone's in the hand feels lightweight and actually very premium. I was not expecting that. Again, it's an iPhone, but while I configure it, let me just check what's next in the box. You don't get a charging brick, you just get a USB-C cable and a SIM ejector tool. Not more than that. And it's actually pretty simple. You get a braided USB-C cable and that's it. A very simple unboxing experience. But let's use the iPhone 16e for a few hours and I'll talk to you. A few hours have passed and I've switched everything from iPhone 16 Pro Max to the iPhone 16e. And what are my first thoughts? Well, for starters, it's much smaller than the iPhone 16 Pro Max. This phone, it's tiny when compared to the iPhone 16 Pro Max. And it's something that I actually enjoy a lot. Because it's so thin, so light, and much smaller than the iPhone 16 Pro Max. And in everyday use, that's something that actually we love. Again, I've been asking for smaller iPhones for a long time. And now, having it, I'm in love with it. But one thing that I've noticed right away is the big bezels and the notch. Again, these bezels are huge. There's nothing that I can say to you than just to simply show you on this B-roll. It's completely insane how good the bezels have shrunken in the most recent iPhones. And with the iPhone 16e, you can really notice it. It's something that will I value it? No. But it's something very apparent from the beginning. And yes, this phone costs half the price. But again, the bezels are something that I noticed right away. And if you are coming from the iPhone 14 Pro, 15 Pro, whatever, and you want to save a bit of money when buying the iPhone 16e, you will notice that. Another thing that I noticed completely already was the aluminum frames. And I gotta say, they are not as bad as I was thinking. Again, the aluminum frames on this iPhone, when compared to the titanium frames on the 16 Pro Max, feel much different. The aluminum is much softer and it feels lighter. But surprisingly, does not feel worse in the hand. Now, I understand people saying that they love their aluminum iPhones. They feel great. It's so comfortable, so lightweight, and much easier to handle around. It's so light, trust me, it feels like a feather. It feels like it does not have anything inside. It feels like it's hollow, which is quite insane. This iPhone costs like $700, it has the A18 chip inside, it has a huge battery, great battery life, it has an OLED display, USB-C, all of that, and it's still this very lightweight iPhone. The back glass, it's matte, so it's different from the glossy black, or at least different from the glossy look on the iPhone 16 Pro Max. This is not a glossy back, but if you look under the light, you'll notice the difference. The painting scheme now on the 16 is very different. Oh, and the big thing that you notice already when looking at the back is the triple camera system on the 16 Pro Max and the single camera system on the 16e. And it's something that actually shocks you whenever you pick up these two phones. You notice already that the 16e won't be a camera-focused iPhone. But that's okay. If you don't value the camera on your iPhone, or if you like cameras, but you don't really use the other lenses, you always take your pictures in 1 or 2 times X zoom, then the 16e will be plenty enough. This has a 40 megapixel main sensor, and this enables you to zoom in 2 times without losing any quality. So if you enter the camera app, you'll have 2 choices, the 1x and the 2x. While the iPhone 16 Pro Max has several choices. You have the ultra-wide lens, the 0.5x. You have the normal wide lens, which is a 40 megapixel main sensor with 1x, 2x, or at least 1x, 1.5x, 1.3x, and 1.25x. And then you have the 2x and then the 5x. Several choices. You have like several, I think it's 7. If I'm not wrong, I think it's 7 optical lenses. So let me check. 0.5, 1, then you have the 28, the 35, and then you have the 2 and the 5. So that 5 lenses, 4 plus 2, 6 lenses. That's a lot of lenses. or at least a lot of focal ranges on the 16 Pro Max. While the iPhone 16e is much different, you only have the 1 or 2x, but I mean, they're not bad. They are like normal cameras. I mean, they are not the best in terms of noise. You can really notice that they are a smaller sensor when compared to the 16 Pro Max, while the 16 Pro Max takes much better video, especially in low light conditions. If you zoom in further, you will see that the iPhone 16e has a lot more noise than the iPhone 16 Pro Max, and even you have the 5x optical, which is insane, and then the 16e, you have to zoom further. Your maximum range is 6x, but if you zoom into 5x, the same as the iPhone 16 Pro Max, you can see definitely the differences in quality between having a secondary lens for zooming in and a normal lens that is just cropping in on your footage. So yeah, that's a big difference, and already on the 16 Pro Max you have the ultra-wide lens, which is much better. In the 16 you don't have that option. Other than that, both cameras are great. This is a 40 megapixel main sensor, so it takes great photos. Let me just check right away a quick photo of me. Let me see. And then with the 16 Pro Max, and yeah, let me just check both photos quickly. I mean, yeah, I can definitely notice that the 16e has a smaller sensor, especially on the background blur. And yeah, the iPhone 16 Pro Max has obviously a lot more background blur bokeh than the iPhone 16e, but the sharpness is not bad. I actually like the colors better on the 16e. The iPhone 16 Pro Max just makes it look too bright, in my opinion. I think 16e makes it a bit more natural, but it's a taste difference. Obviously, the quality on the iPhone 16 Pro Max is completely better. It has more light to work with. It has more information, but the 16e is not bad, and it has a 40 megapixel main sensor, so you can take incredible photos with it. Again, this is just... It's not a fair comparison again, guys, because these are two completely different iPhones. This is the cheapest iPhone you can buy right now, the 16e, $700, $699. Apple is selling it for $600, but in my country it costs $700, so it's around, in average for you guys watching, between $600 and $700, and the iPhone 16 Pro Max is between $1,200 and $1,400, depending on the country that you are buying it from. If you consider only US prices, this iPhone is costing around $600, and this iPhone is costing around $1,300, $1,200, depending if you pay more taxes or less taxes. But other than that, this iPhone has been great, and have been using it for several hours now, setting up this iPhone. The light back there just died, but been using this iPhone for several hours now, started with around 80% of battery, dropped down to 51%, and have been using it very actively. And remember, guys, whenever you buy an iPhone, the first days are always the worst in terms of battery life, because again, obviously, it's just adjusting to your everyday needs. The battery is calibrating, but I think in terms of battery, I've used for 1 hour and 14 minutes, and lots of background activity. Again, the iPhone 16 is great, and it has an OLED display, 6.1 inches, has the old notch. This is like an iPhone 14 or the iPhone 13 display on a shell, with a new shell, the iPhone 16e shell with the A18 chip, and it's a compromised version of the iPhone 16. Less cameras, a bit worse cameras, but the same chip. A bit worse, it has one less GPU core, but you won't notice the difference. It has USB-C, still a great thing, because it brings this iPhone to the modern age. You have access to all the cables, the same cables that you charge your iPhone 16 Pro Max, you can charge it to the iPhone 16e. All the accessories work with it. Oh, one thing that does not work is MagSafe, and it's something that I haven't tried yet, because I have not charged this phone yet. It's been just a few hours, but whenever I will, tonight I will notice the difference. And MagSafe, let me tell you, it's something that I love using on my iPhone 16 Pro Max. And whenever trying out this challenge of switching to the iPhone 16e for about 2 weeks to 1 month, I will miss it. Let me tell you, I will miss it. I will love lots of things, especially the size and the weight, but missing MagSafe is something that bothers me, because I love to actually wireless charge using magnets. It's so much easier, so much more efficient, and much more safe for you not to actually wake up and have a completely discharged battery on your iPhone. But let's see how it goes. Let's see how this challenge ends up being, if I can live up with the iPhone 16e. Because again, at the end of the day, this is something that I need to rent for a bit now. You don't really need more than this. This is essential. This is essential iPhone. You have access to all of your ecosystem things. You have a great camera. You have a great display. You have great battery life. And you have Apple and iOS. You don't need more. Anything more than that is just a luxury, something that you want, something that you actually don't need, but you want, like a triple camera system, like titanium, and like 120 Hz. Again, notice how I have not mentioned 120 Hz once in this video. Not because I don't like it on my iPhone 16 Pro Max. No, I'm addicted to it. I have on my iPad Pro, I have on my MacBook Pro, and I have it on my iPhone 16 Pro Max. But I think it's too much. Normal people don't notice 120 Hz. That's a fact. I've asked several people in my life if they notice the difference between 120 Hz and 60 Hz. And first they say, oh yes, definitely. And they look at their phone and, oh yeah, it feels a bit fluid. But then they try out the iPhone and they, oh, this is the same. And they cannot tell the difference. If I slow down the video, if I put it like at 4x slow time, you will notice the difference. You will notice that the iPhone 16e is choppier and the display actually bugs a lot more than the iPhone 16 Pro Max, which feels actually very, very smooth. But normal day, everyday consumer does not notice that. And so, for me, it's not a deal breaker. But let's see how it goes in the next 2 weeks. I'm very, very excited. I will review this phone. I will compare it to my iPhone 16 Pro Max, to other Android phones that I've used along the years. And I will give you my true statements, my true review of this phone. Not because I want to hate on this phone, I don't. Not because I'm a YouTuber looking for views and to talk about bad things about an iPhone, I won't. I will be very, very fair. I will be fair on this iPhone. I will review it as a phone, completely impartial and neutral, coming obviously from the iPhone 16 Pro Max. Won't be easy, but let's see what happens. Thank you guys for watching. Drop a like down below and subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss all the videos coming out for the iPhone 16e. Thank you guys for watching. Bye-bye.